It's the year 2000. I'm 13 years old, growing up in Crimea, the southernmost region in Ukraine, and dreaming about becoming a journalist. There is a total censorship in Ukraine at that time. 31-year-old Ukrainian journalist Georgy Gangadze is one of few who dares to criticize the government, and so he is blacklisted from employment on television. And for this reason, in April of 2000, he and a colleague decided to create an online publication named Ukrayinska Pravda. Pravda means truth. Giving the new meaning in old concepts, this is how Gangadze explained the name. The fact is that Russian newspaper Pravda has been the main source of official propaganda for decades. That the paper calls itself truth must be understood in the Orwellian sense of the word. Truth is a lie, peace is war, and slavery is freedom. Gangadze's publication, Ukrayinska Pravda, was founded to return a non-propaganda meaning to this world, to make the truth once again truthful. 6 months later, Gangadze was killed. His case led accusations against the authorities and protests, which ended with the Orange Revolution in 2004. Gangadze and the journalists working in Ukrayinska Pravda helped push forward Ukrainian democratic development, making freedom of speech an essential value. Gangadze's story etched in my heart. The written word is a weapon, and the truth is a weapon. 14 years later, in 2014, fate will bring us together. Me and Ukrayinska Pravda, the publication Gangadze founded, where I'm now the chief editor. We will meet in a terrible time, a few months after the Revolution of Dignity, the occupation of my native Crimea, and the beginning of war in the East. At the same time, Ukraine is trying to make reform and fight corruption. In 2014, democracy has won in Ukraine, but is still very fragile. There are too many challenges. It turns out that all these terrible events were just preparation for the most important battle for the right of our country to exist, which began for us in the morning, February 24th, 2022. I'm often asked, what is the war Ukraine about? And I have 3 answers for that question. It is war for the future of the world, for its ability to unite. It's war of decolonization because Ukraine is fighting for the right to exist. But for me as a journalist, it is also a war of truth and lies. The war for right to call a spade a spade. Thanks to journalists, the world saw the truth about Bucha, Irpin, Borodyanka, hundreds of Ukrainian civilians shot dead by the Russian military. The Kremlin continues to blame the West in Ukraine, claiming that all these photos are fakes. But we know the truth. Because in Bucha, the Russians killed the father of my colleague, 70-year unarmed man. And in Irpin, my classmate from Harvard, brilliant documentarian Brent Termino, who came there to make a Time film studio about the Ukrainian refugee crisis, was shot dead. Journalists in the war in Ukraine face incredible challenges, the most basic of which is simply to survive while telling the truth. In 3 months, 32 journalists were killed in Ukraine, 9 of them in the line of duty. Another challenge is not to cause harm, because when reporting on war, the cost of error is measured by human life. A couple of weeks ago, I arranged for an interview with a victim of sexual violence by the Russian military. We talked for a long time, but then she asked that I had not to publish the story. Instead, she asked me for help getting access to medical abortion drugs. And as a human, I helped to help her. And as a journalist, I could not to publish an interview with her. And the truth is that sometimes the most powerful truth is to remain silent. And sometimes it is necessary to speak out. In the days of the fiercest fighting near Kiev, Ukrayinska Pravda published the names of Russian soldiers fighting in Ukraine. And at the time when they were just a few kilometers away from our parents and our relatives. Was it dangerous? Yes. Was it important? Yes, it was. When you cover a war as a journalist, you face grief and death every single day. The truth is harder to communicate and to comprehend in war. It can get lost in the scale of the grief and in the statistics. It's under such conditions that you value the opportunity to tell the truth even more, to tell the story of a person who died, lost relatives, or miraculously escaped. And it is through this work that ensures that the stories of the victims are told, and the story of Ukraine is told. This knowledge gives us the strength we need to work despite the sirens sounding every single day, and the horror of the war which my country lives already for months. In March, Time published a cover emblazoned with the phrase, "Life will overcome death and light darkness," set against the background of the Ukrainian flag. And I would love to add one more sentence. Life will overcome death, and love will defeat darkness. Light will defeat darkness, and love sure too. And Ukrainian truth will surely defeat lies, no matter how difficult the struggle is. Glory to Ukraine and peace for Ukraine. Thank you.